Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. I look forward to discussing with you the impact of COVID-19 on all of us and how we can bounce back from this situation collectively. So we'll try and keep the webinar interactive so you can pose your comments and whatever comes to your mind in the Q&A and the chat section, and I will take up your comments as and when I'm able to do. So the entire world is in a state of lockdown and obvious solution is missing. We can't do anything but to wait and watch. And you may already be flooded with a lot of information from news channels and internet. But in this webinar, I will give you a clear, unbiased overview, which will help you bounce back and overcome this situation. The saying is there, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So events like spread of a virus or a stock market crash or a war, they have a hugely depressing effect on the economy and even on our lives. So during 1930s, when there was a sudden stock market crash, there was a steep decrease in employment and the suicide rates reached new highs. Women could be seen putting up their children for sale and there was no hope for future. But with optimism and strategic planning, USA was able to bounce back. So we are hoping that we also will be able to bounce back with some better planning. Now, Great Depression is one of the most studied events in economic history. So in this webinar, I'm going to go back and refer to some of these crises and see what lessons they have in hold for us, which we can apply in the current crisis. Now, at that time, when we talked about the Great Depression of 1930s, there was no internet and no technology. But now we are fortunate that today we have arsenal of technology. And so it has made life much more easier. If internet was available in 1930s, then companies would have been able to bounce back much better by employing social media strategies and a full-on digital marketing plan. Now, if we look at what are some of these recessions that we can refer to, so I would want to start with tulip mania. Some of you may not have even heard of it. Even I had not heard of it until I started researching on it. It happened in 1637. During this period, the bulbs, which are nothing but stems of tulip flowers, which later grew into flowers, they became enormously popular and their monetary value reached 20 times, 100 times more than their intrinsic value. So tulip, this humble tulip, which is nothing but a flower, became a status symbol. And there were instances where people exchanged plots of land for a single tulip bulb. Now, the effect of this was the cost of tulip became so humongous that nobody could afford to buy. Very soon, the demand for tulips disappeared and the prices plunged to a tenth of their original value. This actually marked the end of superstardom of humble tulips. And the catastrophic nature of the incident was such that even today, tulip mania is a metaphor for describing an economic bubble. Now, biggest takeaway from this incident for us is that a crash may occur even when profits are surging. Now, let us refer to the second biggest economic crisis, which is the Great Depression of 1929. It started from United States, but it had a worldwide effect. Basically, it showed that how we are all interdependent on each other. Global GDP fell by 15%. Unemployment in US reached 23%. And in many countries, it actually touched 33%. It led to many suicides due to lack of food and lot of deaths and disaster everywhere. It basically was a chain reaction, similar to speculative bubble in the tulip mania. In the Great Depression, the stock market crashed because the stocks which were valued much higher than they were worth, they suddenly crashed. Can you imagine? The Great Depression lasted for 11 years, very long. The biggest takeaway from Great Depression was that spending huge premiums for growth is risky. Now, if we come to the third crisis, which was closer home, which is Indian, which is Indian economic crisis in 1985 to 1991. India was experiencing large fiscal imbalances post the Gulf War. India's oil import bill was inflated, exports had collapsed, credit had dried up, and investors had bailed their money out. The gross fiscal deficit rose from 9% of GDP to 12% in 1990. Now, to balance these debts, India had to borrow, and that increased its internal debt from 35% of GDP to humongous 53% of GDP in 1990. The situation was so catastrophic that India could barely function for 3 weeks without imports. Now, the government of India immediately had to arrange for an emergency loan of $2.2 billion from IMF and World Bank, and it had to promise 67 tons of gold as collateral. RBI had to airlift 47 tons of gold to Bank of England and 20 tons to Union Bank of Switzerland. And imagine, all of this was happening while general elections were happening in 1991. As one of the conditions of the loan was India had to liberalize its economy. It had to open its markets to foreign industries, thus reforming the lives of its citizens. This was a masterstroke by Manmohan Singh, and it is hailed as one of the greatest government policies to save the economy. The biggest takeaway from this incident is always stick to a long-term investment plan. Now, if we come to a very recent crisis, which is Great Recession of 2008 and 9, the US government policies were such that real estate assets were valued at prices much higher than their true value. And so it led to a high demand for housing ventures. Now, as a result, banks had to cater to this high demand, and so they relaxed certain restrictions posed to people looking for home loans. Now, people then followed with a mania for owning a home. Everybody wanted to own a home, and the policies were favoring. Loans were easily available. Now, this housing bubble collapsed, and people were left with homes which were worth much less than what they bought them for. Now, having nothing left to repay their loans with, many people they walked out of mortgages, and now banks were left without any liquid assets, and companies they had to lay off many people because their stocks were owned by banks, and these stocks had become useless. So the unemployment rate increased, leading to customers and consumers trying to save whatever money they had left, driving several businesses into losses. So the value of many stocks they decreased, and the overall GDP of US fell heavily for the first time after the Great Depression. So what is the biggest takeaway from this incident? So message me if you feel that what is the biggest lesson. So biggest lesson from this is to never bet more than the amount that can be lost. Now, the recent crisis is COVID-19, which has taken all of us by surprise. And we have got our supply chains affected, businesses affected, children's education, routine, and lifestyle. Everything is affected. Now, what is the impact of this COVID-19? Now, it's necessary to understand that at this point in time, there is no statistic that can credibly capture the actual effect of the pandemic. Why? Because there are just too many variables associated. We do not know the exact trajectory of the virus. We do not know whether there will be any vaccine available or not, medical equipments available or not. The contamination efforts which are being done, we don't know how effective they will be. We don't know how companies will react, how stock market will react, and how consumers will react. So, if you recall, just before the COVID, India's economy had already started slowing down. So, given the circumstances, the possibility of a deep recession is very, very real. So, make no mistake. But is there a silver lining? Yes, India has a large domestic market with very low dependence on exports, making the country less prone to an instant recession. So, this is the cause for optimism. Anyways, we should prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So, please do comment that what are the lessons that you took away from the different crises that we discussed. Now, what is the path to recovery? The path to normalcy will depend on many factors, like how much the demand reduces, what will be the span of shock, how long will it last, will it lead to any structural damage. Now, I will try to explain all these technical things in simple language. Now, according to economists, there are three types of recession. Now, number one type of recession is V-shaped. V for van. Now, in this V recession, economy suffers a brief, rapid fall, but it rebounds quickly. So it is basically very short-lived. Now, another type of recession is U-shaped. Economy suffers a prolonged trough before recovery. And as the shock persists, even when growth resumes, there is a permanent damage in output. So here recession is U-shape, U for umbrella. So the trough lasts for a longer period of time. So even if recovery is happening, it will not be able to match the original state. Now, the last and the most challenging type of recession is L-shaped. In this, the economy suffers a long-term impact and there is a significant structural damage. There is decline in labor market, decline in capital, and decline in productivity function. Now, we do not know what the situation, how will it unfold, but can you please write in the comment section which of the three types of recession do you feel is staring at us? V-shaped, U-shaped, or L-shaped? The virus is still rising in the hotspot, and type of recession, although it is difficult to predict, but L-shaped recession is a very real possibility. And all of us should prepare for it because there are deep impact, there are structural impacts to the economy. Now let us see what will be the effect on the economy. Now this COVID is presenting us with a unique situation because in this both the supply side and the demand side are equally affected. It's a very rare situation and no other historical crisis has seen an impact on both the sides. So we have our supply chains completely disrupted. Production has halted. Import export has halted. So supply chain components have disappeared. Now this may lead to complete liquidity crisis. So the crisis that we are looking at will be L-shaped and liquidity crisis where both supply side and demand side are adversely impacted. Now, generally, when we say slow down, there are basically two types of slowdown. One is cyclical slowdown, which is nothing but a phase of thin economic activity. It's like a cycle. So there are ups and downs. So nothing is permanent. So everything that comes up has to come down. So these cyclical recessions are absolutely okay. There is nothing to worry because it is nature. Economy has to go up and come down at frequent intervals. So there are shifts in the business cycle. Now, it is important to understand that the GDP or economy of a country can never be always on the rise. So it will periodically fall down, and when it falls down, we call it as recession. But this type is okay. Another grave recession is structural slowdown, which has long-term effects, which is caused by a shift in the basic structure of the economy, a shift in conventional frameworks. Now, these shifts can be shifting demographics, shifting consumer behavior, disruptive technology, or discovery of new natural resources. So, for example, Let me quote an example from 1960s coal crisis. Coal and steel industries were the backbone of German economy for many decades in 18th century. Now they employed majority of the people, but during 1960s coal crisis, 6 lakh people lost their jobs, adversely impacting the economy and society. It took many years and diversification of the economy for the Germans to bounce back. So, structural damages to the economy are a very real possibility. If it is only cyclical, we can just get away with it. But if it is structural, which looks like to be happening because the supply chains are disrupted, labor force is not available, migrant labor is no longer available, import export is disrupted. So, the nature of recession may be very grave. Now, but everything is not bad news. So there are some sectors and some companies which have actually risen, and there is some silver lining. So number one silver lining for us is technology. Now in 2003 SARS outbreak, the primary reason for the advent of e-commerce was SARS outbreak in China. And that is the one which was responsible for the rise of Alibaba Group. So, same thing we are witnessing in this crisis, that technology is growing by leaps and bounds, and the future will belong to technology. It's pervading in tier 3 towns, tier 4 towns, because everybody has understood that technology will come to our rescue when the brick and mortar world is collapsing. Another mega shift, which we can see, is in edtech. So educational institutions are closed around the world, and there has always been a stigma for online because people, they have a fascination for face to face. But with this crisis, there will be a breakthrough in the field of education, which will go the route of technology. We are already seeing Byju's, Udemy, edX, they have witnessed 25% growth in daily active users and 82% in time spent. So let me know, what do you think are the other changes which are happening in your macro environment? What do you notice? Third, major changes in health. Traditionally, India has never invested much in healthcare. So how much we have? We have only zero point 0.8 beds per 1,000 people. It is one of the weakest health infrastructure in the whole world. But this could all change with pandemic. And the first signs of growth are very much apparent from the Arogya Setu app. Now people can trace positively tested patients and access their risk of contamination. And government has realized that India's healthcare system has been in shambles and needs immediate introspection. So we can see some path-breaking work happening in the field of health with the help of technology. Now let us see what will be the impact on tertiary sector. India's tertiary sector, especially the travel and tourism, is badly hit, and now it is spilling over to manufacturing and agriculture. So overall, the aggregate growth rate of economy will take a massive hit. Now, many prominent financial institutions, they have slashed India's growth rate from 4.7% to 1.5%. And Barclays has predicted only 0% growth in current financial year. So there is no projection for only growth. We have to pray that it shouldn't become negative. Now, what is the situation of informal sector? It employs, all of us know, it employs 85% of the country. And this is the most vulnerable sector because they don't receive salaries. They are daily wage workers and they are now struggling to put food on the table. Now, government has taken some initiatives and it is depositing 24% of their salaries into the PPF account in the next 3 months. RBI has announced 3-month moratorium of EMIs, so people need not pay EMIs and loans for next 3 months. And this applies to all basic things: home loan, car loan, corporate loan, personal loan. So these are the signs, these are the actions which government is taking. Now, what is the situation of the corporate sector? Now, corporate sector was already unstable due to the 2017 twin balance sheet fiasco. Now, twin balance sheet fiasco is one wherein both the lender as well as the receiver, borrower, both are in distress. Banks were in distress because they did not see enough signs of recovering their loans. And corporates were in distress because they were unable to pay their loans. Now, with lockdown, social distancing, all of us know many SMEs, they would be unable to pay the salaries and rents because now they don't have any revenue. Now, to ease this situation, Government of India has allowed workers to withdraw 75% of their EPF so that people get some funds. Now, because of this twin balance sheet fiasco, banking system is not as healthy as we would have wanted in the current situation, unfortunately. Because banks were the lenders and they were already distressed. Why? Because they have a lot of NPAs and NPAs demanded a large number of provisions from the profits of bank. So they don't have enough credit available. So there is slump. Banks are unable to extend enough credit. So with extraordinary level of uncertainty and weak capital position of banks, many defaulting companies would not be able to get a loan. And this may lead to firm deaths of many firms, which will be really tragic. Now, it is important to understand that why we were able to come out of 2008 Great Recession reasonably well. We were able to come out because our banking system was very robust. The banks, Indian banks in 2008 had 15 years of steady profits thanks to the 1991 liberalization of economy. But now the situation is just the reverse. So banks are not as healthy as we would have wanted. Now, what is the situation of agrarian sector? Lockdown, when was it announced? It was announced first on 24th of March. Immediately there was a lot of panic amongst farmers. Why? Because the lockdown is coinciding with the biggest harvest season of India. And loss of 30 million tons of food grain was expected. To help the agrarian sector, government announced 2,000 rupees for every farmer. 80 crores of poor people, farmers in India have been assured 5 kg of rice or wheat and 1 kg of pulses for the next 3 months, so that at least they have food to eat and we can just talk about survival. Real estate. Real estate sector is very big for Indian economy because it employs 40% of overall population and majority of them are contract laborers. They are daily wage workers. But now all that is gone. So they have packed to their homes and there is no sign of resuming immediately. Liquidity crunch is there in the sector. So RBI has recently announced 10,000 crore to National Housing Bank. But yes, this will be still very challenging. Now, so we discussed till now the different types of recession and also the impact of COVID on the different sectors in Indian economy. So please do comment what do you think, what will be the impact that you are observing on some other sectors that I may have missed out on. Now we will come to the next part of this webinar, which is how should leaders react? Now, we cannot control the virus. We control the slowdown. We cannot control the closure of businesses, institutions, how government will react, moon will be there, stars will be there or not. But what we can control is how do we react to the situation, the current crisis at hand. So this will be a test of character, a test of leadership. It will be an opportunity to discover, and we have to rise to the situation. So number one requirement is keep calm, be positive. The fear of adversity can be a very good driver to deploy the best in all of us. It is important to send out positive message and show your customers, your employees, fellow citizens that we are all in this together. Solidarity is very important. Being calm, being together, and showing unity in this adversity. Number two, this is very important. Find core strength. Now, all of us are running out of resources. Our incomes have come down. They will be down in the next 2 years. So, with inflow coming down, limited resources being there, every company, every individual should focus on their core strength, the most profitable avenue, the core of the company, the most important product that gives bread and butter and work towards just staying alive. So to give you an example, like I am a professor, so I am a faculty at IIM Bangalore. Now what is my sphere of activities? I teach, I consult, I do corporate training, I work with agencies and implement digital marketing plans. But are all these core to me? No. So what is the core of my profession? Core job of mine is teaching. So I have to ensure that my teaching job with IMB is protected. Now, consulting, training, these are all icing on the cake. They may not be there. The income from these may disappear, but it is okay. I have to protect the bread at this point in time. So all of you should also try to figure out that what is the core product or service that is the breadwinner and puts food on your table, and try to protect that. Number third, focus on liquidity. The health of enterprise is of utmost concern. Only when your company is running can you take care of its people. So don't take risk. Focus should be on liquid cash. Liquidity is more important than investment in real estate, stock market. Right now we need cash. So these are not the times to worry about percentage profit, but these are the times to have liquidity in your hand. So apply for loans if you're running out of cash, because cash is what will help us survive. Next point is reduce liabilities. Now, when tides are rising, it is wise to hold the ground rather than swim to a better place. So reduce unnecessary expenditures. Anything that does not enhance business's core strength must wait. Focus only on the essentials, only on the bare minimum necessities. So save for future. Next point is strategize. Now this is a moment where we should hit a pause button and review everything. Differentiate necessary from unnecessary. Protect the necessary. Let go of unnecessary things. So get rid of unnecessary burden on your shoulder. Have a clarity of purpose. And then it will help you to move forward by looking at the core purpose of your strategy. Now, in this recession, some opportunities may come. So be ready to grab those opportunities. So, for example, I can foresee that e-commerce will have a huge wave of growth immediately after lockdown is lifted. Now, e-commerce must prepare itself to and gear up for the boom to happen after the lockdown is lifted, because people will hesitate to go to brick and mortar shops. People won't go to shopping malls. People won't go to multiplexes. So people will prefer that delivery is made at their doorstep. Now this is an opportunity. So they have to be prepared. Follow your instincts. Now there are pieces of advice everywhere. Like I'm giving gyan to you and you are giving some inputs. So I'm also learning from you. So there are projections everywhere, but don't blindly follow any advice. But trust your own instincts and focus on consumer confidence signals. And these signals may vary from industry to industry. So do not let your judgment to get clouded, but follow your instincts and take the right action. The next, do not please. Challenging times They require that we take challenging decisions. So take the tough decision. Do not postpone it. Be proactive. Cut expenses. Try to protect the manpower that you have employed, but see how you can cut the other cost to survive. Communicate relentlessly with employees, board members, partners. Explain to them, increase their morale, because only an enthusiastic and unified team can weather the storm. And leaders must give back. See, what is a business? Is it just an appendix to society? No, it is an integral part. Business is not there only to make money. Business should rise to the occasion and give back when the country needs, when the society needs. So help as many people as possible and be a little reason for being a beacon of hope and happiness. And I must caution, do not expect things to come back to normal in short term. It may take 2 quarters, it may take 2 years. Nobody saw the pandemic coming. So we have to be prepared for the long run. Now, because of this COVID crisis, we can see that there are transformations happening at three places. So, number one, we discussed about technology. Now, importance of technology will only increase because we have realized it is bringing the loved ones closer. It is allowing us for work life to continue. It is giving us entertainment. So it's fulfilling basically everything that one might want in their lives. So technology is the savior. So after the crisis, many organizations will integrate themselves with latest technology. So more investment will go in adoption of technology, be it cloud computing, be it faster computing power, or Internet of Things, or digital marketing. The now people are looking at anytime entertainment, instant connections. So massive growth of digital technology is inevitable. According to McKinsey's projections, digitalization would create 60 million new jobs and they would displace 40 million workers. So there is a net gain of 20 million new jobs. So digitization is the next wave of growth. Now, the roles that people are used to performing will also change dramatically. Now, routine, mono skilled roles will be replaced with specialist, insight driven, multidisciplinary roles. So roles will become more interdependent, more collaborative. It will become more agile, more flexible. There will still be a requirement for people with skills in creativity, insightful thinking, leadership. Another trend which we will see is work from home. We are already seeing that it is quite a success in many industries. We are already hearing that in IT industry, for probably 1 year, all the IT people will be working from home. So work from home may become the norm and it will help companies save huge cost of electricity, rental space. Employees will save time which they spend on commuting. Pollution will ease down. Gigs will happen. So teams will now comprise of permanent, temporary, freelance and even machine employees. So do you know how to work with a robot? We will all have to learn that. So there will be immense requirement for superior social skills to manage a virtual team cohesively. Teams will have to be agile. So composition of teams will evolve based on project, the current requirement, phase of the project. So there'll be flexible work policies. People will choose flexible timings and teams will be created by self. See, days of authoritarian leadership will be gone. So, marketing and businesses will be managed more by teams, more by people. So, teams will be self curated rather than being curated by leaders. They will be purpose led and not power driven. So, leaders would need to lead with influence rather than authority. So, remember this will be a crucial game changer. We don't need authority, hierarchy, structure, uh, the organizational hierarchy. That will not be that important. What is important is influence, which will come from knowledge, skills, how much respect you are able to command from others, which will depend on how much we are able to adapt, flexibility, empathy. Okay, now given this background, what do you think will be the nature of careers forward? Number one, people have to take charge of their careers because the days of patriarchal organization making decisions on behalf of people are over. So people have to step up, they have to volunteer, they have to take initiative, they have to seize the opportunities. They will not be told, but those who take initiative, seize opportunities will be valued in the company. Next, instead of being qualified in a very particular area, you should prioritize diversity of experiences. So tell your children or you yourself, tell them to acquire new skills, tell them to unlearn whatever is not relevant anymore, and tell them to relearn new skills which are relevant in today's dynamic environment. Another area where change will happen is money is no longer a barrier. So people should strive to become entrepreneur because jobs are endangered. Hiring is frozen. Companies won't be hiring. So the best path right now is to become entrepreneur. And what best type of entrepreneur is digital entrepreneur, which we will talk very soon about. Now, in this situation, do write your views. What do you think should be the behavior of leaders in this current crisis? How you are observing, how you yourself are behaving, how you are leading your organizations, your institution, how you are adapting. I would be very happy to read your comments and, if possible, respond. Now, the timeless skill of marketing will remain because it's always important to maintain relationship with customers. So marketing is eternal. Now is the time to show your mettle as a marketer. But when we do marketing, right now is the time to show to your customers that you care for them. You are not selling products or services, but you have to show them care, affection, love. You have to engage with them. So the role of marketing is different in the current times. So number one role is inform. So informing means informing people about your service, product, touching their lives, engaging with them. Be a part of their lives. Be a symbol of quality, trust. Be a symbol of a friend and build a lasting relationship with customers. So if customers see that you are taking care of them now, then they will become more loyal to you and they will buy when they rebound and when the recovery happens, when they have the cash. Now, during this time, so when we are saying marketing, the most relevant way of marketing right now is digital. So the current crisis is the biggest advocate of digital marketing. We are already seeing that internet users are so many in India, 462 million internet users, 400 million smartphone users, 200 million Facebook users. So we already have huge number of people with access to internet to use digital marketing. So time is very good for digital marketing also because it has high conversion rate. ROI of digital marketing is higher than traditional marketing because you can customize your marketing. So it is not spray and pray. You are not wasting your money. Like in marketing, we say half of the marketing, half of advertising is waste, but we don't know which half. But that is not the case with digital marketing. So you are only narrowcasting and you are aiming. There will be no wastage and hence ROI will be higher. So you can generate more leads. It's more budget friendly. Customer care is shifting to digital. So people are right now engaging with brands through digital. They are voicing their opinion. So all this can be done through digital. Government of India also took initiative of Digital India campaign and to promote digital literacy. So this also has created huge job opportunities for people to take up digital. Now, during these times, what should be the focus? So, my recommendation to you would be that because currently it's a crisis time, so we should not put all eggs in one basket. So, you should diversify and have multiple sources of income. So that will be a great thing. We should not have only one source of income because one source of income is endangered. Many people may lose jobs. So why not create multiple avenues of income? So how will you create multiple avenues? One very good way is freelancing, and that can be done digitally. So there are sites like Fiverr, freelancer.in. They are becoming very popular. So to do freelancing, we have to see, do we have any skills which we can provide in exchange for money? Because people will go for contract employees, companies will go for freelancers rather than hiring permanent employees. Now there is so much demand for content writing because everybody is creating content. Internet means more content, right? So there is a lot of demand for content writers. There is a lot of demand for design skills because companies are creating so many images for social media, for internet, for web. People are creating so many videos, but they don't know how to edit the videos. So there is demand for editing, video editing skills. Everybody has a website, so there is demand for web designing. Now whole education is shifting online, so there'll be a lot of demand for online tuitions. Now people are doing digital marketing, so there will be a lot of demand for digital marketing agencies or digital marketing consulting. So try to diversify your sources of income, and freelancing is a wonderful avenue. Another wonderful avenue is affiliate marketing. Now, affiliate marketing is when you don't have a product of your own, but you try to make money by selling someone else's product, and you get paid a percentage as a commission. So you can become affiliate marketer for Amazon, for Flipkart. Almost every big company has an affiliate program. This is a wonderful way of making money. Now we already know e-commerce will bounce back after lockdown. Now e-commerce will want to reach out to as many people as possible. So this will be a great time to learn about affiliate marketing and identify the products you want to be affiliate of. And as soon as e-commerce opens up, delivery starts, you can start making some money. So it will also help e-commerce companies get growth. Another very big area is influencer marketing. You can be an influencer if you have a niche. So if you're good in something, if you're good in dancing, if you are good in comedy, if you are good in cooking or painting or art, can you not become an influencer? Can you not attract followers? Be a brand by yourself. And once you have followers, once you have reach, then you will get paid. Brands will pay you to reach out to your influencers. Many brands during this time are trying to connect with influencers. So all of us know, like Gabbar Singh's Britannia, Sachin's Boost, Salman Khan's Revital, Katrina Kaif's Slice. People remember these. So brands are also using this time to get associated with influencer. So various companies are using techniques to use influencer. For example, Dyson India. They partnered with Shruti Sheth to promote Janta Curfew. Shruti urged people to isolate themselves and stay at home. And in the video, she showed that how she's using Dyson's vacuum cleaner to clean her own home. So this is a good time to identify influencers, connect with them, and to yourself become an influencer. So just identify a niche that you have and start creating content. Social media marketing is another great thing. So people are constantly on social media. So in this time, Can you engage people more? So I'll take example of Bharat Flooring. Now they are into very boring business of making tiles. I'm sorry to say that. Now they started a tile design competition. It appealed not only to users but to artists. So company utilized the free time that people had while they are quarantined and encouraged enthusiasts to design a tile. Now it led to increase in awareness, increase in engagement, and these people have formed a bond with Bharat Flooring, which is likely to continue even after lockdown is over. Search engine marketing is another key thing which you can deploy in digital marketing. See, right now, people are searching frantically for things. So, ads have become cheaper. Now, you want to showcase your brand, your product. You want to build awareness. Now, you can run ad campaigns on Google search results. And these ads are coming at a fraction of the cost. So, you can do your marketing, build awareness at much lesser cost. Another important thing is search engine optimization. Now you have to change the keywords that you want to target for SEO. So right now, pandemic, corona, COVID, these are the trending keywords and people are looking for more content on these topics. So can you create some content around these topics and optimize and identify new trends and create new content? So newer trends, fresh thinking, and it is easy to come higher in SEO. Now, if you're running, say, display ads, banner ads, now where to show banner ads? Now show the banner ads at this point in time on news sites, show the banner ads on OTT sites because they are witnessing huge 40% rise in the time spent. Show banner ads on EdTech platform because your viewers are there. Run ads on social media. So we have to carefully choose the websites, apps, platforms where we want to be present through digital platform. During these times, people are searching for near me because they are looking for supplies. They want to find out, they want to buy products. So they are looking for near me type of searches. So optimize your SEO for near me. Email marketing is a very good arsenal. It's a very good arsenal for you to manage this. For example, Zomato, it regularly sends emails during the lockdown asking people about their welfare and promising to serve with same high quality standards and lower price once lockdown is over. Now, income of people is low, so people are looking for discounts. So during this pandemic and after the lockdown, can you give some offers? Can you give some discounts? Can you reduce your prices? That will lead to increase in demand. That will look at customers, that will make customers look at you favorably. They will realize that you are not trying to make money during the crisis. Why don't you create FAQ content? Because people right now are full of questions. They are seeking answers. So put on your website frequently asked questions and include trivial information like the current services offered by businesses, available products, discount details, sanitation policies. So FAQ page will appeal more to customers at this point in time. So these are numerous factors. Now I would want to open it up and take up some questions which people have been asking and many comments I have been receiving. It's been very interactive and a lot of people I can see online. So in the end, I would encourage you to contribute even if it is a small amount to PM Relief Fund. It may not make a significant difference in your life, but it could help save many lives. If you want to learn more about digital marketing, then you can follow my YouTube channel, Prof. Seema Gupta. And also you can check out my latest blog articles on profseema.com. And there is book on digital marketing available on Amazon, published by McGraw. I would want to end this by quoting Martin Luther King. We must accept finite disappointment, but we must not lose infinite hope. So remember this, it's all about being hopeful. Future may look bleak, but we are always seeing that silver lining of hope. So please pose your questions and do comment. I will take up whatever is feasible in the given 10 minutes we have. So, Dr. Ashish is asking how lockdown will affect education sector. So, Dr. Ashish, we are already seeing that education sector is almost like completely moving online. Now, admission to new programs have got postponed, and programs will start a month or 2 months later. And I think initially classes will happen online, and only after September or October classes may resume offline. So okay, so some more questions I can take. How can one freelance as a digital marketer? So we discussed that in detail. How lockdown, okay, how to cope up with placements, admission in B school. Yes, placements have got hugely impacted, and we can clearly see many offers have been withdrawn, or students have been asked to join at a later date. So this is very difficult. So one way of coping it is that once the situation normalizes, colleges can continue to offer placement support to students who have been adversely impacted. They may be allowed to sit for another round of placement. So it is important to show solidarity with the students whose placement offers have got dropped, and not leave them on their own. So we can do that. So how to sustain premium pricing in these times is an interesting question asked by my fellow. So premium pricing, see, certain markets are price insensitive. So if it is a luxury product, or if your brand equity is very high, then you cannot dilute it, because if you're diluting too much, then again it will erode your brand equity. So instead of reducing the price, maybe it's better to offer in some other form, like giving scholarship, or through some gifts or giveaways, rather than reducing the price. Since the e-commerce platforms may take advantage, should government control the pricing level? Yes, I'm sure government will intervene. I do not think that e-commerce platforms will try to take advantage. We've already been seeing Big Basket and other apps delivering, but I did not see that prices were increased, because they are in the long term. They want to build goodwill. So I do not think it will happen. Any good technique for digital marketing for rural India given lower penetration? Uh, See, this rural India has taken up TikTok very heavily, and there are a lot of tier 2, tier 3 towns which are on TikTok. So it is now only a myth that rural India is not online. Actually, the growth online is coming from vernacular languages. So growth is coming from Hindi speaking population. Next is Tamil speaking population. Then Telugu speaking population. So these people are coming on board. Growth on YouTube is coming from there only. Growth in TikTok is coming from there only. And thanks to Jio and now Facebook partnering with Jio, the data packs will become even more cheaper, and smartphones have become much cheaper. So it will penetrate much faster. How to prepare for, okay, I am unable to. How to prepare for tech jobs post lockdown? See, technology is a field which is constantly changing. So, very important in technical jobs is to upskill. Now, this is very important for all of us. Invest this lockdown time to upskill, acquire new skills, learn something new. I have borrowed 2 coupons from edX so that I can take up 2 courses on edX in my area of interest. So you have the time, take up. Courses are very cheap, and many companies are giving free online courses. So do not hesitate to spend 1,000, 2,000 rupees to take online courses. Invest in yourself. So if you constantly upskill, you will have takers once the economy rebounds. So How much? Okay, we have 5 more minutes, so we can take some more. So I'm getting some questions about certificates. So yes, certificates will be issued, and I'm reading some comments. Some people want me to respond to their comments. All I may not be able to answer right now, but I will definitely try to do it over email. So, deferred live, okay. Is digital marketing complete solution to the present scene? Rural India connectivity is still a problem. Recording will be shared. Rural digital marketing is not the complete solution. I mean, the problem is much bigger than digital marketing. But of course, all of us have to pitch in, and all of us have to contribute in small way, and all of us have to basically take care of ourselves. So all of us, if we take care of ourselves and our neighbors and our household and people who are dependent on us and people who are serving us, then collectively as a society we can hold ground. So thank you. I got a lot of good comments. People found the session to be informative and interesting, and my comments to be explicit. Thank you very much. So some people are choosing MBA and they are asking for prospects of MBA. See, worldwide, I must be candid here. The world is moving towards more technical areas. MBA is a general management job. So the demand for technical skills and knowledge is increasing much more. MBA is more general management. It is good to know, good to have, more required when you move to senior level or mid level positions. So, right now, there may be a little bit of lull in demand for MBA programs. But these are all fads, so nothing to worry. And right now, I think overall, the emphasis on degree will become lower in future, because degree is a badge, degree is a stamp, right? So people use this badge to get placements, to get jobs. But now companies have become smart. So they are not just looking at badge or stamp, but they are also testing on skills. So if you have the skill and you may not have the badge, then you may still get job. So the importance is more of acquiring the skill. And for that, I think online education comes very handy. So right now, if you want to learn data analytics, you can pick up courses on data analytics. If you want to learn digital marketing, you can take up those courses. So motivation is very high. So learning becomes very fast. But in degree programs, everything is served on a platter. So even if you don't want to take some courses, people are still forced to do all the courses because they have to get the degree and they have to meet the credit requirements. So that is why we see disinterested students in the classroom. And because they are there only to get placed, they are there only to get degree. But if you enroll in a course because you want to learn something, and you want to learn something because you want to stay ahead, you want to remain cutting edge, and you want to make a difference in your job, you are ambitious, then you are automatically motivated and you will learn much more and you can save much more time. So, so with this, I think we will bring this session to an end. Thank you very much. I completely enjoyed, and do subscribe, stay connected with me by subscribing to my YouTube channel and by registering on my website. So that is how we can stay connected. I will keep on posting more videos on more latest topics. So stay tuned. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.